Imagine a kind neighbor moving in, a simple woman with 4 children who runs a small soap shop. One day, her eldest son is drafted for war. Terrified, she begins making massive amounts of soap and cakes, distributing them to neighbors to protect her son through blessings. Suddenly, an investigation reveals a horrifying truth. Your neighbor is a serial killer who turned her victims into the very soap and cakes you consumed. Our story begins long before the birth of Leonarda Cianciulli, starting with her mother, Emilia Dinolfi. Born into a wealthy Italian family in Montaglia, Emilia was expected to marry into high society. However, one night while walking home, she was followed by Mariano Cianciulli, a 40-year-old violent and resentful man. Mariano dragged Emilia into a field and assaulted her. Traumatized and from a religious background, Emilia kept the secret, but her pregnancy eventually exposed her. To avoid a public scandal, her father forced her to marry her attacker. Emilia moved from luxury to a wretched home with a cruel alcoholic. On April 18, 1894, Leonarda was born, the living symbol of Emilia's ruin. Emilia treated her daughter with immense cruelty, constantly blaming her for her misery. After Mariano died, Emilia eventually married a criminal who restored her wealth, but Leonarda remained marginalized. Due to this abuse, Leonarda attempted suicide twice as a teenager, failing both times. She grew up believing she was cursed. When Leonarda fell in love with a simple clerk named Raphael Pansardi, her mother cursed her. "You will live a wretched life until you die." Leonarda, a firm believer in the occult, was haunted by this. A fortune teller later confirmed her fears. "All your children will die young, and you will end your days in prison or an asylum." Leonarda married Raffaele, but she suffered from severe depression and hysteria. She was pregnant 17 times. 13 children died, 3 in the womb, and 10 as infants from mysterious illnesses. Obsessed with her 4 surviving children, Leonarda turned to magic to break the curse. After an earthquake destroyed their home in 1930, they moved to Correggio. There, she opened a soap shop and became a popular fortune teller. In 1939, World War II broke out, and her eldest son, Giuseppe, whom she loved more than anyone, was drafted. Leonarda spiraled into madness, believing that a soul could only be saved by another soul. She decided she needed human sacrifices to protect him. Her first victim was Faustina Setti, a lonely woman seeking a husband. Leonarda convinced her a groom was waiting in Croatia. On the day of her departure, Leonarda drugged her, killed her with an axe, and dismembered her into 9 pieces. She boiled the remains with caustic soda to make soap and ground the dried blood into tea cakes, which she fed to her children and neighbors. The second victim was Francesca Soavi, promised a teaching job. Leonarda repeated the gruesome ritual and stole her savings. The third was Virginia Cacciopoli, a former opera singer. Leonarda described her murder with chilling coldness, stating her fatty white flesh made the most delicious cakes and finest soap. The sister of the final victim grew suspicious and reported the disappearance. When police threatened to blame her son Giuseppe, Leonarda confessed everything. In 1946, she was sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a criminal asylum, exactly as the prophecy predicted. Leonarda died in an asylum in 1970. She left behind memoirs titled Confessions of a Bitter Soul. To this day, the pot she used to cook her victims is displayed at the Criminological Museum in Rome, a grim reminder of a mother's love turned into a monstrous nightmare.